And today's sponsor is MEX Exchange. When we talk about fighting back against tyranny, there is no better way to do so, folks, than buying Bitcoin. And I mean it. Are you sick of putting your money into investment vehicles that are controlled and owned by BlackRock? Do you enjoy making BlackRock more rich? Do you enjoy letting the Joe Biden administration print away your family's life savings and funnel that money into woke causes that support the LGBTQ movement? I don't think so. I personally don't. There's a saying in the Bitcoin community, fix the money, fix the world. All of the corruption around the world stems from their ability to control money. They have the ability to debank you. But by choosing to interact with Bitcoin, you can take that power back. You can gain financial sovereignty. You can choose to withdraw from a corrupt economy. So support me, support this channel, support Matta. Fact, if you guys are in the United States of America, there's no better place to buy Bitcoin than MEX Exchange. My affiliate codes will be linked down in my link tree. There's also Binance. And if you are not in the USA, the best place to buy Bitcoin is BYBIT. It's my absolute hands down favorite exchange ever. All of my affiliate links are down in the link tree. Support this channel and do me a favor on your way in. Smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, share this content. Tell everybody we are over here live on LFATV. Oh, we ain't live over at LFATV. Not today, folks. Well, actually, we were over there live on LFATV today, but that was this morning. We are over here live on Rumble, coming at you live from the slums of Detroit City. Great to see everybody, and I got my stuff all over the place. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy, what is today? Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. and we're throwing down a crypto podcast. Good to see everybody. Slay Maven in the house. We got Kimmy B, Anna Perez. Let's go. Anna Perez, isn't it 9 o'clock? Aren't you supposed to be on another network right now? On the Stu Peters network? Yeah, I was gonna do a stream at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, and I was like, oh no, Anna starts at 9. I don't want to start right when her show starts. So I pushed it back to 9:30, and then I was like, oh, I'll delay it a little bit more. I thought you were going to be off today, but we're going to get into a lot in today's show. Since I missed the stream this morning, I apologize, folks. We're doing a lot more on Kyle's show, so I got to get there a lot earlier, and it takes up a little bit extra time in the morning, so I don't have time to get into the morning shows as much as I would like. So as soon as the new studio gets finished, which will be about next week sometime, we're going to get going hard into crypto. So Kimmy B says, Ryan, why do you like KDA more than XRP? Because XRP is a centralized World Economic Forum controlled elite global pedophile. Yeah. All those things that you despise in a cryptocurrency. But does that mean I won't own any XRP on this next crash down? Absolutely not, because XRP is an asset that I don't think is going to go to zero. And I think will go up. Will it make you exponential gains? Hell no. XRP has a $30 billion market cap. So the globalists are going to try like hell to take a monopoly over money, right? So what crypto asset can they brainwash enough bottom feeders out there in America or across the world to adopting their centralized shitcoin that is controlled by a very small few people? Very small, maybe like 10, 20 people on XRP dictate everything that happens within that network. And I would go even smaller than that. I bet 5 people make a majority of decisions that happen in the XRP network. It's a centralized coin. It's you know, we have Visa, we have MasterCard, we have PayPal. Why do I need XRP? I don't. Go look at the team of XRP and then cross-reference team members with the World Economic Forum and tell me how much XRP you want to own. But I'm legit buying XRP on this next crash down. I just need something that I can pair with Bitcoin so I can trade against Bitcoin on our bots. I'll show you what I'm talking about when we set up these bots. They're doing really well. So I just need an asset that's not going to completely collapse and that there'll be enough idiots out there to continue buying. I mean, the XRP army is pretty massive. They got a lot of people out there that are in love with that coin. But a majority of them were buying it like I was back in 2015. So we were buying it at fractions of a penny, and now they're just sitting on an asset that's very smart. You know, crypto, most people don't sell their crypto, at least the people that are really, really wealthy. They just use it as a collateralized asset, and then they borrow against it, and then they pay back the loan to themselves, and they don't pay any taxes on that. So in crypto, and I assume with regular finance as well, I don't know how it works in regular finance, but when I have all my crypto, I can go take out a loan, a collateralized loan. So if I have 100K in Bitcoin, and say on this crash down, my Bitcoin goes down to like 75K. Let's just say it's at 150K and it goes down to 100K during this next crash. And everything else, all the other altcoins like Cadena go off another 50% off. And I'm like, man, I wish I had some more money so I could buy, you know, more Cadena at these lower prices. I can stake my Bitcoin in one of these protocols and I can use it as collateral. I can put my 100 grand up. And if I put 100,000 up, I can borrow 50,000. Now, the problem there is if, say, Bitcoin's at 30K and I use it as collateral as a loan and I borrow 50K and then Bitcoin drops by 50%, I lose all my Bitcoin. I lose everything because they're going to liquidate my loan, sell off my loan so they can pay back the person that I borrowed it from, right? So when I borrow with Bitcoin and it's 30,000 and it drops by 50%, right? I still owe them 50,000. But the 100,000 I put up as collateral just went down to 50,000. So the second that it hits your break-even point, they liquidate it automatically and sell it off so they can pay back the person that lent you the crypto. And that's why decentralized finance is so much better than regular finance, because every time you take out a loan, you have to put up collateral. So it's like that skin in the game theory. You don't end up with these massive mountains of debt that the entire world is in, or countries or nations, I guess, that they'll never pay off. Slay and Maven, yeah, you guys know I despise Crow for all this reason. I mean, like crypto.com joining the World Economic Forum just lets me know that that's the last place I want to buy crypto from. If I have to give my fees, like you're going to pay exchange fees to somebody. So if you're going to give it to crypto.com, you're going to give it to crypto.com. But let's get into today's show. Let's start talking a little bit about Bitcoin's performance. By the end of this, if you're not a Bitcoin maxi, you might want to be. So taking a look at Michael Saylor over here, he says Bitcoin is winning, right? Bitcoin's performance, I believe this is in the last quarter. It's probably last quarter. So Bitcoin up 214%, S&P up 31%, NASDAQ up 26%, gold down 3%, silver down 20%, bonds down 23%. Okay, so that's a performance since August 10th of 2020. So roughly over the last 3 years, what type of asset do you want to have your money parked in? I mean, it's overwhelmingly obvious. And I'm still a big fan of gold and silver. But as the apex predator in any industry, it's Bitcoin 100 times over. Now, that didn't mean I didn't buy $1,000 worth of silver last week. Legit, I did. Right? And I bought more Bitcoin too. So it is I'm going to start putting every paycheck I get from either KYLE or LFA after I finish my house. For the next 6 months, I will put every penny I make in fiat dollars into crypto. And you guys can watch what happens when you start parking your capital into an investment vehicle that's going to continue to exponentially gain value while the rest of the world is burning down to the ground. And we live, Blue, we live. I think we live. We're live over here on Rumble, right? Shit, I hope I'm live. I think I'm live. I should really check to go make sure that I am. Yeah, I'm live. Okay, cool. I'm live. All right, yeah. So this first clip we're going to get into is by our buddy Savvy Finance. If you guys are still big in the crypto community, if you guys talk to Savvy, I reached out to him in a comment just a minute ago and told him I'd love to have him on the show for an interview on LFATV. So any of these bigger people that are big in the crypto space, if they want to come on the show. So these next two clips are going to be from Savvy. He does Savvy Finance. He does amazing work over on YouTube. He gives commentary. He goes and finds the best clips from people like Michael Saylor, puts them together in little montages. But we're going to grab a clip from him. This is Michael Saylor talking about Bitcoin.
100 years ago, an acre of property in Miami Beach was about $10,000. And now it'll be about 20 million. So that's a factor of 2,000 increase in price. That's against a fixed yardstick. If you do the calculation, the US dollar is being inflated and supplies 7% a year for 100 years. Weak current, that's the strong currency. That's the world reserve currency is increasing and supply 7%. So the asset inflation rate in dollars is 7% a year over 100 years. That's how you get from $10,000 an acre to $10 million an acre. Now, weak currencies in the developing world are inflating at 14% a year, unless they're really mismanaged and they're inflating at 21% a year. But I'll give you a simple fact. If you start with $1 million and you hold it in dollars and currency that's being inflated and supply at 7% a year, after 100 years, your $1 million is worth about $700. But what do you think it's worth if you're holding it in 14% debasing currencies? 28 cents. Okay, so clearly the weak currencies don't last 100 years because people are smart enough to realize that $1 million going to 28 cents is not a good investment. But the strong currency is taking you from $1 million to $700. And that's the rate in the last 100 years when the US is winning all the wars. We're winning all the wars. So the next 100 years, I don't think it, the question of what's the future of all these currencies in these countries, the euro versus the yuan versus the dollar, I don't think it's really that relevant. I think what's relevant is you just have two choices, or we have three. You either hold your money in the strongest currency in the world, and you're losing 7% a year. You're being cut in half every decade. You're being cut in half 10 times in 100 years. And you're going from $1 million to, $700. Or you put your money in the weak currency and you're being cut in half every 3 or 4 years. And you're going from $1 million to 28 cents. Or you put your money into a diversified portfolio of conventional assets, conventional real estate, if you invest in REITs, securitized real estate, or you invest in S&P companies, big companies, you're probably going to grow at 7 or 8% nominally. The money is going to lose 7 or 8% of its value in real terms. And in 100 years, the $1 million of purchasing power you have today will be $1 million in 100 years. You won't have gone bankrupt. You just won't have made anything. So if you want to actually beat that 7% hurdle rate, then you need to strip away the risk and the liability from the asset class. So the risk is your property is seized. The risk is an earthquake hits it. The risk is a flood. The risk is rain. The risk is the executive running the bank steals the money. The risk is the tenant in your building sets it on fire, or they don't pay their rent. The risk is the mayor rent controls your property. The risk is, such and such company, Nokia can't compete with Apple, and BlackBerry can't compete with Google, and such can't compete with AI, or you get unionized. I could give you 100 risks, but the bottom line is the reason that conventional assets like real estate and like stocks, the reason they can't beat Bitcoin is they can't get away from the risk and the liability of having human beings operating a physical property in the real world, because lightning strikes in the real world and governments act in the real world. So Bitcoin is, in my opinion, over 100 years, theoretically in the long run, it's like a 14% versus a 7% monetary inflation rate.
You guys get all that? So think about that, right? You guys have heard me say multiple times on this show, right? If your great grandparents were to have left you $10,000 in 1920, they would have technically had to have left you $250,000 for you to buy exactly what you bought, what your great grandparents could have bought in 1920 with $10,000. Now, what Michael Saylor is saying, at a 7% debasement value, and that's if we win all the wars and the United States is still the global power of the world, which I don't know anybody who's sitting here thinks that at the rate that this country's going and the way that we are going there, I don't think any of us think that that the United States is in any position or is moving in the right direction to maintain that. Which means that when we lose when we lose the ability to export our inflation across the world, we're going to go from 7% to 14%. So that means if today let's just say you're 50 years old and you worked your entire life away at a middle class job, $20, $30 an hour, and you were able to put $1 million in the bank. At the current rate we're going at a 7% debasement value, in 100 years, your great-great-great-grandchildren will be able to buy $781 worth of stuff today. So you could take $781, you can't pay your rent. You probably can't even pay a car note with insurance. You probably can't even pay the taxes on a used car. That is how corrupt our government has become. So it's so nice seeing so many people that had, a year ago. It's so funny. Not even 6 months ago when I got on LFATV, and it's an older audience. I don't know anybody in the chat at LFA that talked about crypto. Not one person on LFA talks about crypto. Not one person in the audience even wanted to hear me talk about crypto. But it's kept dropping those breadcrumbs. And it's so amazing seeing the amount of people that are going, I get it now. I get it right now. Elizabeth Warren despises crypto. Gavin Newsom despises crypto. Nancy Pelosi despises crypto. What more evidence do you need that you should be dedicating a vast amount of your resources to understanding crypto, Bitcoin, and what blockchain technology is going to do to the world than that right there? The people that we despise the most in this country are the people that are trying to convince you that, boys can be girls, and that it's all right that a bunch of grown men, whip their dongs out in front of your children. Those are the same people that are telling you crypto's bad. So think about that every time you're like, wow, yeah, Bitcoin's bad. It's a bad investment. It's too volatile. No, that's just the shit that's just the talking points that CNN has brainwashed you into believing. And we're going to get into that here from Michael Saylor, but this is going to be the opportunity. Don't go run out and buy Bitcoin right now, because I think we got a big short coming in here right now, if I'm not mistaken. So this is from our boy, Will Clements. If I'm saying that right, I always say his last name wrong. Well, Will Clement III. This dude's more accurate on Bitcoin calls than probably anybody else I know in the industry. And he says all-time high on Bitcoin options open interest, now at $16 billion. So if you just take a look at this chart, and almost every time you see open interest put in a new all-time high, you're getting ready for some type of crash, right? So, and if you look at the 7-day, it's the 7-day moving average versus open interest. We've never seen open interest really get above the 7-day moving average, except for in May. Yeah, just in May of 2023. And now we're sitting way above it, which leads me to believe that we have some type of crash coming. If we just take a look at the charts, let's pull up the charts here for a second too. Nope, it's not the one I want. That is the one I want. We swing over and take a look at the charts. This is why I was telling everybody not to buy. So if we scroll down here, this is our RSI indicator. It's our relative strength indicator. It very rarely breaks above this 70 level. Let me actually edit my chart settings so you guys can see what I'm saying here. This yellow dotted line here is what I'm trying to show you. It barely ever gets above the 70 or below the 30 level. Only a couple times a year, right? So the last time that this purple line broke above this yellow line right here. Actually, I know we got a lot of new people in here, so let me turn off some of the other stuff so it's not confusing for you guys. Let me change the purple line to white. There we go. Now you guys can see it better. Okay. So when the white line breaks above the yellow line, it just happened on October 23rd. Prior to that was in January of 2023, which is about 10 months ago. And prior to that was all the way back in February of 2021. So if you take a look at these charts, this doesn't happen very often. Now this one, we didn't really have a huge pullback from, I don't think, maybe 15 or 20%. But that was also because we just came off bottom. Yeah, only about 22%. So this time we broke above it, only came down about 22%. But if we go back here, you'll see some bigger pullbacks. But almost every time we break above it, we end up coming back down, then running back up and coming back down. But the higher above it we get, the more I'm looking for shorting opportunities. And with open interest being at an all-time high right now, after we just ran up roughly, I don't know, almost 100%, maybe more than 100%? Yeah, 142%. I feel like we're going to have some type of pullback. And I think my best guess would be that we're coming back down to test at least 34K or the 33K range. If we turn on our moving averages, which is what I think a lot of people are going to go off of. So we're sitting on the 20-day right now. If we break below the 20-day moving average, which is where we're probably finding support right now, we're coming down to 31K. And that's just the 50-day. I don't think we're going to go back below the 200-day, which is at about 29K. But if I see Bitcoin getting back down to these ranges, I'll be going pretty hard into it and stacking some more stats. Now, the crazy part is, like, look at, we broke above it over here in the beginning of the bull run. This is where I think we're at right now. Honestly, if I had to take a look at a cycle, I think that this is where the cycle's at. You know, like we had in 2019, about a year before the halving, we found bottom. We started to rally up. Here's December and November. And then we rallied all the way into March, February, March. And then we had the major mega crash. So the only question is, when the U.S. markets collapse, and this was the liquidity crisis in 2020, during COVID, right? That was our liquidity crisis. That was when, was that 3% of Americans, 3% of retail investors started to sell and cause that? It's pretty crazy to think. So that took Bitcoin down, what, like 40%? 50%, 55%. So the question is the black swan event, like back then, Bitcoin was a risk-on asset. Now Bitcoin's moving in the opposite direction of the stock market for the first time ever in history, completely no longer correlated. When the collapse happens, will Bitcoin be the safe haven? Will that be the place that people run? Now, we're going to get into a lot more here. We're going to get into the economic collapse that's coming upon us. But before that, I want to jump into one more clip. Again, if you guys are just joining us, do me a huge favor, smash that like button, share that content, let everybody know we are live over here on Rumble, doing a late night show for you. Another video from Savi. If you guys aren't following Savvy Finance, swing over there on YouTube, show them some love. Another one from Michael Saylor.
But the difference between 14% and 7% is the difference between your $1 million becoming $1 billion. At 14%, your $1 million becomes $1 billion of purchasing power, right? And at 7%, your $1 million stays $1 million, right? You know, do you want to double 10 times in a row? That's 14 versus 7. Or do you want to basically break even 10 times in a row every decade? So ultimately, you know, you can get excited in the near term about hyper growth Bitcoin, the 40, 50% Bitcoin, that's hyper growth. And I can give you a dozen reasons why it'll continue to grow more than 14%, over the next decade or so. But the reason that thinking out 100 years makes sense is because when you think out 3 generations, it's very clarifying and it allows you to avoid all the noise and all the confusion and all the sound and fury. And everybody wants to like wave smoke and mirrors in front of you and get you to juggle razor blades and shock and awe you in order to get you to give them your money. It's like, for example, if you were the royal family of the UK and I said, oh, there's a pandemic in London, but there's no pandemic in the middle of this island in the Atlantic, so I will trade you 1,000 acres in the mid-Atlantic for the center of London and Buckingham Palace, and Chelsea. Would you trade in a panic? Because if you did, when the pandemic ends, you would realize that you own something worth nothing and you gave up the middle of London that was worth $100 billion. And so that's why everybody's going to always try to get you to panic. They're always going to basically fudge you. They're going to say, oh, this is not safe. That is not safe. And their goal is to get your Bitcoin from you. They may not even realize they're trying to get their Bitcoin from you, but they want to be relevant, right? What I'm saying is you own the most desirable thing in the universe and you lock it away and you wait for 100 years and your family is rich. And if that's the case, then why would you ever watch their television show? Why would you ever give them your money? Why would you ever pay them a commission? Why would you give them a 2% management fee and a 20% participation? Why would you buy their altcoin? Why would you buy their stock? Why would you hire them to give you advice? Why would you read their writing? Why would you listen to their video? It's like, you don't really need to do any of that if you just buy Bitcoin and hold it. And so that's why the rational thing to do is think like the Emperor of Japan. I mean, haven't they like owned the middle of Tokyo for 1,000 years or something? Or think like the King of England. Don't they own the middle of London for the last 1,000 years? And if you go look at the royal family in the UAE, it's illegal to buy beachfront real estate in the Emirates unless you're a royal. They won't just sell it to you. And it's because smart people realize that you should keep the high quality property for the next 100 years. You can't go buy the middle of Central Park, no matter how much you bid. I can't buy it for $1 billion an acre. The city of New York will not sell it to me because they're thinking out long-term. And if you had sold Central Park at any point in the past 100 years for any amount of money within reason, for a 200% premium to the going rate of real estate, it would have been a mistake, right? It's always a mistake to sell the good thing and buy the average thing or the conventional thing.
Gosh, I can listen to this man all day. EODVET, long time no see, my friend. Wow, that rhymed. I didn't even mean for that to happen. El Nikaman, am I saying that right? El Nikaman, am I saying that right? In my opinion, BTC headed to test December lows below 25K. Will make every single retail to puke their positions. Oh, that might happen. That could totally happen. How many people FOMO'd into Bitcoin at 30K, 34K? This is where like your dumb money mindset where you start thinking that you're smarter than the rest of the world. You're like, yeah, all right. You talked yourself out of buying Bitcoin at 17K. You talked yourself out of buying it at 19K. You talked yourself out of buying it at 22K. And you waited for it to run all the way up to 37K. And then your dumb money brain says, you know what? I'm missing that train, folks. Shit, you know what? All those people have been right about Bitcoin. I'm buying it. And then you run real quick and you go buy your Bitcoin. Then it falls off a cliff. You're like, I would have just waited one more week. I knew it. I knew crypto was a scam. Fucking should have listened to my gut instinct. I was right all along. And then you don't buy as it crashes down. And then it runs back up to higher than you paid the first time. And then you buy again because you're shit. Fuck. Right? We've all been there. It's a rough learning curve. It's a rough learning curve. That's why I tell everybody, if you're buying crypto in this market, you pray that it collapses. I told Kimmy that when she buys it. Kimmy came in the LFA chat, goes, I just bought KDA. I go, awesome. Hope it crashes, right? Because if you thought it was a steal at 50 cents, then you sure as hell better buy some at 30 cents. Because we are close to bottom, folks. For altcoins, I can't really say. Cadena could go another 70% off from here. Bitcoin, I don't think Bitcoin's going below 70K. Because it's what the entire world is, and not just America is buying. I mean, we have nations that are buying Bitcoin now. So Bitcoin, in my personal opinion, is like your savings account. It's something that you put in and you never plan to spend. Anytime I'm actually buying Bitcoin, I never plan to sell it. I plan to borrow against it, but I never plan to sell it. Every other altcoin I plan to scale out of all the way up. So Kadena, and Kimmy asked why Kadena over XRP? Because Kadena is the most advanced decentralized technology that the world has ever seen. There's no other blockchain that could come out and even replicate the same type of technology or similar technology to Kadena. Kadena is so far ahead of everybody else. We're talking about TikTok and YouTube combined. We're talking, all right, let's eliminate the fact that they're like super woke. And like, let's say if every platform was like free speech as unlimited as Twitter is, it would be like combining YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok together in one app from a technology standpoint. We can even throw Google in there if you wanted, and Amazon. Combine all of those together into one technology asset, and then compare that to AOL Instant Messenger. And that would be the equivalent of comparing XRP's technology to Kadena's technology. No joke. That's literally the exact analogy I would use to explain why I would be buying Kadena over XRP. Now, if you want to get into the vortex effect and why an asset like Kadena that's going to consume X amount of energy will start bringing in companies like DTE, it'll start bringing in the tech companies because of all the parts that are used and manufactured for mining equipment. Then eventually the politicians will start getting involved and you'll start onboarding politicians. And the next thing you know, you have this giant vortex effect. It's like a security apparatus that's defending the network itself. Because it aligns incentives. That's the word I was looking for. Aligns incentives. So when we buy an asset, like, right, if say Elon Musk came to us and he's like, oh, hey, I'm starting up this a mining company. I'm gonna go mine for oil. And you're like, yeah, Elon Musk wins at everything. I'm gonna throw in $100,000, or I need $100,000 to invest. So you go to 3 of your buddies and you're like, hey, you guys want to go in, or 4 of you guys, you want to throw in $25K each and invest in this new Elon Musk startup company? And everybody's like, yeah, sure. The second that all of your money goes in together, your incentives become aligned. All 4 of you now are invested in wanting Elon Musk's new mining company to succeed. When you start buying Bitcoin, you join the Bitcoin Union. Your incentives now align with everybody else's incentives who are buying Bitcoin. Now, with Kadena and Bitcoin, they're both proof of work blockchains, which is completely different than something like XRP, which I think is just a ledger. I don't even think XRP is even a blockchain. They might have some type of spun off blockchain now, but pretty sure there's some type of ledger DAG technology. But, and you just don't get that in a proof of work network. So everybody that's mining Bitcoin, their incentives are aligned with people that are investing in Bitcoin. Everybody that's using Bitcoin as some type of leveraged asset to whatever, their incentives align. The mining equipment companies' incentives align. The aluminum manufacturer who makes the aluminum cases that they manufacture 5 million cases a year for Bitcoin miners, their incentives align with Bitcoin miners, right? So you're not just getting the people that invest in it, you're getting the people that have, and the corporations that have built business models around the Bitcoin and the Bitcoin standard, I guess, as you'd call it. So that's why I'm so much more bullish on Kadena. Kadena is a blockchain technology that since Ethereum and the world realizing what smart contracts are and how you can cut out a middleman by replacing the middleman or a bank with a few lines of code, every blockchain's been trying to solve one mathematical problem, and that's called the blockchain trilemma. So for basically 10 years, every company that has built a blockchain since Ethereum has figured out a way how to make Ethereum faster, I guess is the only way to say it. And then give yourself the ability to build on top of Ethereum in a safe way with a safe coding language. But I don't think that was even a factor. Yeah, so it's just they've all been trying to solve this one problem, and the only company in the world that's solved is Kadena. My top alts, in my opinion, are Cadena, Flux, and that's it. Like, I'm talking about assets that I would be confident in putting, 10% of my portfolio in tomorrow. Or if you gave me $10,000 tomorrow, I wouldn't have to think about it. I would just buy those 3 coins. Do I think they'll be the most profitable? Hell no. Absolutely not. I know that for a fact. Some little dweeb in his basement's going to create a dog coin and it's going to do 10,000x. And your $500 in BITMint would be $500 investment would be like $1 billion or something like that. Whatever Safe Moon was. And EODVT says, Alphium. Am I saying that right? Alphium? Is that how they sound that out? It's a proof of work DAG. Proof of work DAG. That sounds interesting. And is that George 11 says, what do you think of Caspa? Saying the same thing, they solved the trilemma. Caspa, I've never been a big fan of Caspa. Ever. But, and their mining rewards, somehow a blockchain that just doesn't have anything built on it, doesn't have smart contracts, so nobody's building on it, and then somehow managed to run up in the middle of a bear market by $500 million. I don't know, man. That one made me think that something else is going on there. I don't know how they manipulate markets. I don't know how they can, price shock liquidity. They dumped out a lot of coins in a very short period of time because of their mining rewards, and they now have a market cap of $2 billion, which is fucking nuts. Look at the charts on this thing. So I feel like you just buy shit coins and you just get lucky. That's it. End of story. This was a really good investment. I could have bought into this thing when it was like over here. It was like its first week out. And quite a few of my buddies were in on that. And everybody was telling me to buy it. I was like, why the fuck would I buy that thing over Cadena? Like, you can't convince me as from a logical standpoint on why this would have been a smarter investment. But here we are, man. Fuck, the market cap's $1 billion. I think it was $1 million market cap when we were looking at it. So that's a 200x. So EOD says Caspa's block time is too quick to work out a smart contract in that time. Only way is with an L2. Yeah, and then you're not then your smart contracts aren't decentralized, so you kind of lose all aspects of a blockchain. But maybe not. Maybe the quote currency. Maybe, I don't know. But I would never put money into something with a $2 billion market cap. There's just no way. Mr. K says he got in at 0.0039. I sold out all the way up at a $30 million market cap. So you got in at a 2 million and sold at 13 million with a 15x. Yeah, so yeah. So like EOD said, I think we'll find out sooner or later what happened with Caspa. They got 75% of their coins out. When we started looking at this thing, it only had, I don't know, like 5% or something. It was really low. Didn't they start off with no coins in circulation? What is it, a mining only coin, if I'm not mistaken? But yeah, I wouldn't put in, it's just $2 billion. I mean, you're maybe, I don't know, we only seen a few blockchains hit a $40 billion market cap. And then, you're either got, I don't know how you convince people to put money into a market cap with 2 billion. Yeah, EOD says Cass's emission schedule was insane. I don't know how an asset goes to something with 2 billion, like that high up, without some type of insider trading, wash trading. And it could just be the liquidity. It could be having enough bots set up across multiple exchanges that you can offset the Moon Boy liquidity. I don't know how you do that, but I'm sure having a lot of liquidity on exchanges helps. So I think everybody in the KDA family should get some bots set up. Maybe like 10% of your portfolio should be running on a bot and trading a bot. And if we got like thousands of us to do it, if we got everybody in the KDA community to do it, we would put so much KDA liquidity on exchanges, it would probably be hard for them to drop. Everybody's saying, check out OASYS. Let's take a look. OASYS. OSA. See what we got here. Where did they put all of the info tabs at? About, maybe. About OS. In the blockchain game, a huge number of transactions occur. However, many blockchains cannot handle so many transactions, and nodes often crash. OSIS, or Oasis, am I saying that right? Oasis? As a game-specific blockchain, uses technology that is less likely to fail due to an increased number of transactions caused by games. That's all they tell me about it. Maybe they got a website. Let's take a look at their website. CoinMarketCap changed up their website on us. I'm not really a fan. There it is. Let's take a look at their website. Unreal Games made real. You know, blockchain games, man, there's going to be so many of these things out next bull run. I say throw a bar tab at it, you know. If you're going to go out this weekend and you're going to drop $200 at a bar, don't go out this weekend. Throw it at that. Will this be the Shiba of our generation? What's the market cap on that thing? Market cap is looking at 58 million. I'd probably rather throw my money into something like Cadena at $100 million market cap and play it smart and safe. That would be my opinion. But we got a lot to get through today. Let's keep going because the pain is coming, folks. So savings accounts in America are now hitting the lowest levels since the '08 collapse. This video is by Epic Economist. Check this out.
Banks are closing down personal accounts without any notice, according to a new report released by the New York Times. That comes as the credit crisis continues to worsen and hurt Americans financially. Banks are now trying to reduce the risk of losses and failures, even if that means leaving people without access to their funds. Conditions continue to deteriorate in the financial sector, which is putting many institutions in a tough situation right now. Meanwhile, U.S. households are feeling anxious about money and the bleak economic outlook for 2024. New research shows that 36% of Americans have no savings, and about 2 in 3, or 65%, say their household expenses have risen in the past year. In contrast, only 25% say their income has increased in the same period, prompting concerns about consumers' financial health now that credit conditions are getting tighter and unemployment is ticking up. A survey by Clever Real Estate found that 51% of Americans would run out of money within a month if they lost their income, and 29% would run out of money in 1 week or less. Most Americans have dismal levels of savings, said Matt Brannon, data writer at Clever Real Estate. The last time savings were this low for this long was right before the 2008 financial crisis.
30% of Americans are going to run out of money in 1 week. What does that tell you? What will that tell you? It's going to get bad, folks. Like, we are this close. This close. Stop moving the mouse like that. What was I moving the mouse like? I'm always OCD with my mouse. I can't help it. I got to let go of the mouse screen. If I'm looking over there and talking to you guys, I'm always moving the mouse around. I can't help myself. Yeah, it's bad, folks. You think AI coins are going to explode next bull run? Well, that's what Flux is getting into. That's why I started stacking up Flux. I'm seeing all the stuff that Flux is doing, and I was just thinking to myself, like, no server, no PC will ever be able to compare to the compute power that you would gather having, 10 or 15,000 computers all connected together and combining all the resources of thousands, maybe even millions of computers all over the world. Yeah, Texas Bald, how'd you do? Get yourself some Bitcoin first. Bitcoin should be your savings account, right? So if you put $50 a week into your savings account in your bank, it should go $50 a week into Bitcoin. And I'm talking money that you, like, if you lost it, you wouldn't be upset about it. And I'm talking about this because you got to have the mindset that Bitcoin is never to be spent. It is literally money that you're putting away for your great-great-grandchildren that you plan to pass on for generations. So if that's $50 a week, $100 a week, that should be your Bitcoin allotment. And then once you get a comfortable nest egg of actually maybe one, I don't know. It's hard to say, man. I'm like 90% of my wealth is in crypto, and it has been for quite some time now. So I despise fiat currency. I sell it or buy gold or silver or Bitcoin every chance I get. I mean, I can't get rid of it fast enough. Real estate, house, investing in remodeling my house now. And I bought a cheap house too on purpose for that exact reason, because I want to be able to offload it if I have to get out of this country. Because if they rig the 2024 election, I'm gone. Instantly. I will pack my family up and move at whatever cost I have to pay. Because if we don't have enough patriots in this country to stand up and put our foot down now and take our country back, letting them rig another election and attempting to deal with this for another 4 years is unacceptable. We just can't do it. Our country's being invaded. We'll be lucky if we're not in World War III by then, or completely invaded. And things are just getting worse. Banks are now banning customers. So imagine that. Imagine, like before, if you didn't owe the bank money, that specific bank, if you didn't screw over that bank, well, now banks are talking about if you check enough boxes, you're just going to go to your bank one day and you're not going to be able to get your funds. Citibank, is it Citibank that just collapsed? Gosh, he'll say it here. But another bank, now that's the fifth bank with zero warning. It was taken over by the FDIC. So the FDIC insures deposits up to $200,000. So those people are going to be able to get their money out up to $200,000. But now that bank's taken over. And I don't know how long it's going to take you to get your money out of that bank. So you're going to watch a bunch of local regional banks start to fail. Because they passed a lot of I think it's the commercial real estate. A lot of that went through your local banks versus like a Chase or JP Morgan. And now that the commercial real estate is collapsing, people are in real trouble, folks. It's going to get really bad.
If you don't have enough savings to fall back on, you can easily go broke if you lose your job or face an emergency expense. Even worse, if you lose your income and can no longer pay off your debts with your bank, your account can be terminated with no warning at all. The Times reported that the number of clients getting dumped by their banks is rising dramatically. Experts estimate that thousands of people are losing access to their bank accounts and credit cards every month. Oftentimes, they're restricted from withdrawing their funds for weeks and months. That is leaving many people scrambling to pay their bills and to buy everyday essentials right now. Even though banks do not reveal precise data on how often they're doing this, analysts observed a 50% increase in the number of suspicious activity reports, or SARs, which typically lead to them ghosting customers without warning. Analysts tracked a series of real-life examples of customers getting abruptly dropped by their banks and exposed plenty of instances where the decision was not just sudden, but completely unjustified. This happened to businesses, to students, and to everyday people who set off a tripwire and could do nothing but wait until the bank returned their money. The reasons for the cutoffs may vary, but the consequences are equally bad. Individuals can't pay their bills on time. When the institutions close their credit cards, their credit scores can suffer. Upon cancellation, small businesses often struggle to make payroll and must explain to vendors and partners that they don't have a bank account for the time being, the Times detailed. The justification for banks taking such extreme measures is rational enough. In the straightforward language of bankers, it is a matter of de-risking. If a customer account flagged by a suspicious activity report could result in fines or regulatory investigations, it makes sense to cut it loose, the human toll notwithstanding. One person who worked on the process told the outlet, "There is no humanization to any of this. It's all just numbers on a screen. It's not, no, that's a single mom running a babysitting business. It's, hey, you've checked those boxes for a red flag, you're out."
Get your money out of these banks now, folks. I can't scream it any louder. And it's going to be so sad. Imagine that. Like checking a box, you go, oh, you know what? I want to withdraw. I want to cash out my 401k. You know what? I feel like we're at the top of a market. I feel like the markets are getting ready to collapse. I feel like BlackRock has pushed this rally to its limit. And there's no more room for the S&P to run up or to be manipulated. I mean, think about this, folks. Like, this is where you were. This is where your 401k just came down to, not too far back. That was in October of 2022. Just like it always does in October, it rallies. And a lot of this rally is all coming from buybacks, from these corporations buying back their own shares. And BlackRock controls 89% of the assets on the S&P 500. So your money is in the S&P 500. You're earning 7% average. Inflation is 7%, folks. You are not making any money. None. Get your money out of the stock market. Get it out of all of this garbage and put it into the hardest, purest form of energy in the world. And that is Bitcoin or gold. You name it, folks. I don't care what you put it into. I wouldn't go into commercial real estate. I wouldn't go into any real estate right now. But you see where this cycle is going. So when we come out of this collapse, or whenever they decide to fire back up the money printer, we'll be at 14% debasement. And just imagine that. Imagine inflation coming down to 0%, but nothing getting any cheaper. And then the Fed goes, oh, we did it. We beat inflation. We got inflation down to 0%. Let's fire up that money printer again. Because that's exactly what's going to happen. The only way we come out of this is by them stimulating the economy. So when inflation hits 0% and they fire back up that money printer, it might be 2 years, well into Biden's second term or Obama's fourth term. Do you imagine that? Gosh, damn. I mean, it's so catastrophic, man. It's so heartbreaking to watch. I mean, we're going to get really rich, but there's a lot of people that are going to suffer, and it's hard, man. It's like I go down to the border and I see that little girl freezing to death on the side of the river. You know? I would have cut that razor wire myself to let that little girl come across that border. It's just so sad to see what these people are going through. To get to America because they're promised a better life. And really, these people are just pawns in the game, man. They're just pawns in a game to these elite assholes that are just trying to rob you blind. On that note, speaking of gold, let me let you in on today's sponsor. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this. Listen up. It looks like the corrupt government cronies are pushing for a new digital dollar.
One currency expert claims the removal of cash would push America closer to a totalitarian state.
No cash for you, just numbers on a screen that they can track and control. That's why the smart folks are opting out of that terrible idea, and they're putting some of their dough into physical precious metals like gold and silver. But is that right for you? Good question. That's why my partners at Goldco and I have made you this website to help you find out. Go to goldco.com/matter of fact and educate yourself on the benefits of owning real gold and silver. That way, your finances don't depend on some shady government program designed to control you. And for a limited time, if you decide you are interested, you get up to $10,000 in free silver with qualified orders from Goldco. The choice is yours, folks. Arm yourself with the knowledge and head over to goldco.com/matter of fact now. That's goldco.com/matter of fact. A fact is right, folks. I'm over here trying to open up. I will say the only downfall to Goldco is these cases, man. You got to get a pair of pliers to get this thing off. The cap turns completely sideways and it like fits perfectly around the edges. And it's so tight that you like, you know, it's designed to keep the silver locked in there so your silver doesn't dump out. But man, is it hard to get out. I don't just, you know, Goldco reached out to Kyle. Kyle turned him down. Didn't matter what amount of money that they were going to offer Kyle, he wasn't interested because he doesn't believe in silver. He doesn't buy silver. He buys ammo. But me, right? I buy the products. I work with the sponsors. I enjoy silver and they ship it right to your house. Physical silver. And I know I'm not supposed to touch it. Everybody's in the videos like, bro, put your gloves on, put your gloves on. Blah, 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 blah. Not about gloves. But if you swing over here and visit goldco.com/matter of fact, take this quiz, see how you can get up to $10,000 in free silver. I got mine, folks. It's really easy. Just a few questions. Click the button, 15 seconds, and they'll give you a little form. Fill it out. They'll get in contact with you. They're great people. You know, it's sponsors like that that support these channels that allow us to keep going and keep fighting the good fight. We need all the help we can get. We need all the support we can get. And it's nice to know that there's patriotic companies out there like Goldco, Patriot Coolers, For Patriot. You guys want discounts at patriotcoolers.com. Use promo code Kyle. For Patriots as well, promo code Kyle. Get you, I think, like 10 or 15% off, depending on what the deals that they got worked out with the KYLE SERAPHIN Show. Those are the companies that, like, I'm not making anything from For Patriots or Patriot Cooler, but I use their products. I love them. And I think they're going to come in handy. I think they're going to save a lot of lives. So let's keep it rolling, folks. Let's keep it going. We'll do some coin calls here in a minute. So this is Bitcoin Magazine's just in. Kathy Wood says spot Bitcoin ETF approval odds have gone up as the SEC has engaged with ARK and BlackRock. Something has changed. So before we get into this, so for the last, I don't know, what is it, like 7 years, people have been applying to get a Bitcoin spot ETF. Nothing has changed with Bitcoin. Nothing has changed with the crypto world. But we have a futures ETF, which means people can short Bitcoin and profit from collapsing prices of Bitcoin without actually owning any Bitcoin. So you can leverage trade Bitcoin, and that's safe for the average person. But you can't buy and hold Bitcoin with a spot ETF. Come on now. Come on now. Don't know what you're thinking. Now, the SEC is playing ball. So I don't know if you guys have seen the videos of Gary Gensler just basically getting his ass handed to him. So the guy that facilitated the payments for the Clinton dossier, you know, the Steele dossier, that was a lie about Trump, the Russiagate hoax. Yeah, well, Russiagate was, the payments for that were facilitated by Gary Gensler. He's now the head of the SEC, handpicked by Joe Biden. Now he's singing a different tune.
This is the first global, digital, private, rules-based monetary system in history. It's a very big idea. When we wrote the paper in collaboration with Art Laffer, you know Art Laffer, Supply Side Economics, Laffer Curve, he said, I've been waiting for this since they closed the gold window in 1971. So he's been waiting 50 years for this, right? And he's so excited about everything crypto, but especially Bitcoin, because he believes, and it is true, monetary policy around the world is unhinged. It's not hinged to anything except human decision making. And this is going to put discipline, rigor, back into
These particular products you're talking
well,
about.
Bitcoin is the monetary system is Bitcoin, and so yes, why now for these? We've been working with 21 shares since I met Ophelia at an ETF confab in 2018. They had really just started their business, and I said, you know, we want to move towards crypto. You are completely crypto. They were focused on the infrastructure, the regulations, really blazing a trail. They had to invent things in order to make this happen. And we knew that was not our core competency. And so but we did start talking. Our core competency is research on disruptive innovation. And they do research, they do deep technical research on the market. Our research is on the disruptive innovation that it represents. And we've just been coming together for 5 years. It was a natural for us to come together. They are, or 21 Shares is the largest crypto ETP provider in the world, $1.5 billion. They have 35 different funds, most of them in Europe, in and around Europe. They were looking for a US entree, and we were looking for infrastructure, and you know, we're just delighted to be partnering with them, given how much groundwork they had to lay for this to happen.
Speaking of groundwork, on another product that you're working on, of course, the spot Bitcoin ETF, which you are also partnering with them on, and you've got your filing in. There's a lot of filings in. Every day, seemingly, there is a new rumor about approval of one of these things. What are you hearing from the SEC at this point? Are you know, there's a January deadline I know that people have been looking to. Or how confident are you that you're going to get approval?
Well, something has changed. So we had put in a number of times a filing, and we were just denied. Never got any questions, really never got any response. This time, this summer, we got questions back from the SEC. Now, normally when you get questions from the SEC, you're just saying, oh my goodness. We were thrilled to get questions back because it means they're engaged now. Now, we have met a number of the research people at the SEC on the research side, and they are extremely sophisticated. They know what they're talking about, and the level of sophistication of their questions suggested, okay, now they're moving deeply into this. And we answered those questions. We have not heard back. That's a good sign too. They never tell you that you've satisfied them, but if you don't hear from them, that usually means that you have satisfied the answers to the requests. So that was new, and we also know that BlackRock got questions. We put our answers in first. I think they have followed, and I'm not sure about anyone else. That was different, and it says, okay, there's movement, and we are the first in line. Just because we kept refiling, others gave up, and so, but we just kept refiling. We just kept, and we became first in line. So David against Goliath, right? And that's January 10th is the final deadline. They've been able to push it. It's very orchestrated. Push it, but the final, they either approve or deny on January 10th. And
what do you think?
Well, again, I mentioned something has changed.
Right.
That's good. The odds have gone up. There is only one wrinkle, just occurred to us in the last couple of days. They will approve a number at once. It won't be just one. That would be choosing a winner, given the way ETFs work. But we know Grayscale wants to convert to an ETF. I don't know how practical that is, or if the SEC will let them, or if they need a special dispensation. I just don't know the rules. Grayscale has said it will sue the SEC again if it denies the conversion. If they were to do that before January 10th, I don't know if that would throw everything up in the air again. I just
For
don't
the
know.
others as well.
For everyone.
Right.
Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know.
So there's still a lot of unknowns out there. You mentioned you guys bought into Bitcoin at 250 way back when. So the return from 250 to 35, 36 looks pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's not 100,000 that I think you and I have talked about at various points, or even loftier numbers. Where are we in that cycle?
I think, so if we look at the reasons that Bitcoin will scale, so our base case is today $600,000 to $650,000, and our bull case, based on the scarcity that is now developing, we're at roughly 19.5 million Bitcoin out there. There will only be 21 million ever, and we do believe that. We think that institutions, if the SEC blesses a Bitcoin ETF, institutions will feel like the coast is clear for them to pursue. And we know a lot of institutions have been researching crypto assets for a while and do agree that it is a new asset class. Bitcoin was the first in a new asset class. We wrote a paper in 2000, I think it was 16, ringing the bell for a new asset class. And our director of digital assets said to me, "Do you realize that happened today? We rang the bell for a new asset class." I said, "Oh, I didn't make that connection." Anyway, so institutions understand when there is a new asset class, it's there's an opportunity to diversify and increase returns per unit of risk. That's very important. They've also learned that Bitcoin in particular can be a hedge against both inflation and deflation.
Pretty crazy to think about how much money is going to come flying into Bitcoin. Does that mean Nikki Haley? So I guess we got some breaking news over here. Yeah, let's break it. Mr. K, you got the link to that? Throw it in here. We'll throw it up on screen. I think Kyle just sent it to me. I think it's the same one. It's 21 seconds. Let me download it really quick. We'll give a big shout out to KYLE SERAPHIN, the man, the myth, the legend. The one and only KYLE SERAPHIN. Hello, my friends. We are coming at you live from Liberty Hill, Texas. It's a great hill to die on, folks. How am I doing? Let's see what Mr. Seraphin himself says over here to this tweet. We'll throw it up on screen in 1 second. If you guys are just joining us, do me a huge solid. Smash that like button, please, and thank you. We need to bump this stream up and get a little bit more. We need an orange pill and pink pill, a few more people tonight. So if you guys can help us, help me help you, my friends, and smash that like button. We'll try to be doing, I'm just kind of like delaying till the new studio gets finished. When the new studio gets finished, we're gonna get on and popping to all things crypto. We're gonna be doing a crypto stream quite often. So this is a tweet over here by KYLE SERAPHIN. If you guys aren't following KYLE SERAPHIN over on Twitter, y'all are missing out. I promise you that. So KYLE SERAPHIN says, Nikki is out of her effing mind. The federal papers were written in pseudonymous. What a flipping stupid take. Pseudonym were written in pseudonym. If I'm saying that right. How do I say that word? Yeah, pseudonym. Pseudonyms. What a flipping stupid take. Take the money and drop so we don't have to keep listening to your new teeth click, please. I hope I'm going to play the right video here. Should be it. Let's see what we got here.
They need to verify every single person on their outlet and I want it by name. Because when
what about Smug? Does he qualify?
I've provided them with my government.
If Smug is on your driver's license, then, and look, you can put Smug in parentheses, but I want everybody's name.
But I want everybody's name. Wow. Trump buyback would be colossal. There you go. Vivek posted something. Oh, you got KYLE SERAPHIN's. Okay, yeah. Yeah, wild, huh? At Warmonger. What? You guys don't want Nikki Haley? in charge of your life, you will sacrifice your children to go fight in this war because I was a broke, bankrupt twat waffle, a failed politician, a broke, bankrupt twat waffle, and now she's sitting with millions in the bank telling you how you should live your life. As child trafficking was the worst. Was it South Carolina? Where's she from? North Carolina? Every time I always share the videos of this compilation of news outlets and child trafficking and what was going on under Nikki Haley's watch. Gosh, man, I can't stand these people. All I want to do is talk about crypto. She wants KYC on every single thing you think. Yeah, KYC. You got to use KYC to use that vending machine. Think about that for a minute. You really would. I mean, if you accept a digital dollar. Yep. Yeah, like last bull run, we'll be streaming every night. Every night I don't have my little man. But the new studio is going to be fun, guys. I'm going all out on this one. It's only taken me this is the studio I was trying to build in the last house, but just didn't have the knowledge or the understanding of how studios actually work. I built that studio in the basement. I don't know how many times. I rebuilt that thing about 4 or 5 times. She can KYC my ass. Vegas of Aces. I like that. I like the sounds of that, man. Credit card debt is skyrocketing to new all-time highs, folks. Check this one out.
Delinquent customers face the highest risk of having their accounts shut down. Americans have taken on a massive amount of debt in recent years, and as interest rates went up and made loans more expensive, it's getting more difficult to get out of debt. At the same time, it's also getting harder to have access to loans as banks continue to tighten their lending standards. This is cutting an important credit line for millions of struggling consumers at a time when pandemic aid has waned and inflation is making more people need an additional form of financial support. According to the Federal Reserve Senior Loan Officer Opinion Survey, banks have cut dozens of millions of lines of credit in the third quarter. On the other hand, households and businesses would like to take on additional borrowing, but fear they can't afford it at current interest rates or that banks would deny their loans. Considering how important credit flow is to the U.S. economy, it makes it all the more likely that the economy will enter a full-blown recession in 2024. Higher interest rates also led demand for loans to slow down a little bit in the past quarter. The Fed revealed that the number of banks tightening lending standards came in at 33.9% in quarter 3 versus 50.8% in quarter 2. We must note that these are incremental changes, so the 33.9% is over and above the 50.8% of banks tightening in the second quarter. Officials revealed that not only consumers but all major sectors of the economy are being impacted by the credit crisis. Banks have reported tighter standards for all commercial real estate categories, residential real estate, credit card, automotive, and other business loans in October.
Go out, rack up that credit card debt, folks. Don't worry about it. It's 0% interest. Max out those credit cards for $10,000. And then what? Here we are. Now your interest rates are 9%. Hell, I didn't believe it, right? And I went out with some friends that I haven't seen in a really long time this weekend. I met them up at the local bar, had one drink, sat at the bar for about 3 hours. And just people watched. I haven't been out in a long time, so I was out there just bullshitting. And I go, oh, one of my friends, she just bought a house. I go, oh, how's your something about credit or something? I go, oh, you having issues with your credit, so you're getting behind on bills. And she goes, not yet, but my credit card debt's going up. And I was like, oh, what's your credit score? Thought it was gonna be good. She's like, oh, it's really bad, like 6 something. And I go, you got credit card debt too? And she goes, yeah. And I go, how much? She goes, how about 11,000? And I was like, what's your interest rate? She's like, I don't even know. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, it's probably close to 20%. 20%. and 11,000. I thought like when I'm like, I don't know if I know anybody. And then I was like, maybe I do know people that they're just not, you don't ask people like, hey, how much credit card debt do you have? This is one of my good friends. So it was just like a normal topic of conversation. But it was pretty bizarre to think that a single mom with 3 kids, $10,000 in credit card debt. I mean, it's unsubstanable. It should be illegal. Like, I remember who was it who was doing the pay now, buy now, pay later scams. And the guy was lending people that obviously had no business borrowing money. He was lending them money, doing the cash advance loans, and he was charging them like 22% interest. So they could, if they paid it off in the first 30 days, I forget, it was only like 5 or 10%. But if they went over 30 days, it jumped up to like 25%. Now, the guy that was profiting the most from the company was running the business off of a Indian reservation. And he was putting these stores on these Indian reservations, or somehow it was registered in the Indian reservation, so he couldn't, like the cops couldn't arrest him because he wasn't breaking laws. It's this huge documentary I watched. It was like on Discovery Channel 5 years ago or something. And I thought that the government went after him because he was like, it was malicious to loan people money that you knew that they couldn't pay back and then rack up, like, just bump the interest rate to an unsustainable amount that they can never pay back. And if they missed or got behind for like a month or 2 months, it was like the odds of them catching up was so unrealistic. It was like $400. And if you didn't pay it back within like 2 months, you owed them like 800 or 1,000 or something crazy. You are basically a slave, Griffin. That is it, man. And so many people are waking up to that mindset. And yes, it is your fault. It's definitely your fault, right? We're all in the position that we're in today because of the decisions that we made. But we don't have to be. And I think Andrew Tate's done such a good job at really waking people up to going, you're a slave, man. You give up your entire life for dollars that they printed out of thin air. You know, these fiat paper dollars that they printed, they have no real value. And you're gonna give up your entire life, your freedom, your happiness, your health, your family, to slave away to make somebody else rich so that you can get more dollars. Now, to help you understand a little bit more about how corrupt our government is, I don't know if you guys have seen, I've just caught a little clips and pieces of it, but Mr. Beast, as much as I dislike his transgender outlook, the guy he went over to Africa and he built, I think he put in like 100 wells in Africa, which delivered clean drinking water, I want to say, to 500 million people, which is pretty crazy. Now, what's crazy about that story is over the last, I want to say it's like 20 years or 30 years, the United States of America has given Africa $1 trillion. So some rich YouTuber generated enough money from one video to go put 100 wells in all across Africa. It might have been 1,000 wells. But he's delivering safe, clean drinking water to 500 million people. So, I mean, how hard would it be with $1 trillion to deliver clean drinking water to, I don't know, maybe there's 3 billion people in Africa. Let's overestimate. But it just goes to show you, we don't need government, guys. You know, before like 1950, we didn't have 911. We didn't even have ambulances. When you got sick, somebody drove you to the hospital. Like, we don't need our government. And everybody's waking up to realizing like how little we need the government. Like when you have people like Elon Musk and something happens in Hawaii and Elon Musk has stations and SpaceX and satellites and internet up in a matter of hours, and he's bringing in flights of planes full of supplies, and then the government is blocking the citizens of Hawaii from getting those supplies, and they're dumping out the water and throwing away the food because it didn't come from FEMA. And now FEMA's building concentration camps all over America. Man, we slaves, folks. So it's I mean, Andrew Tate is right. You either get rich or you die in the matrix. Because if you can't make enough money to buy yourself out of slavery, you're going to be stuck in this rat race for the rest of your life. And how miserable could that be? Like, imagine being people in China where there's like this giant firewall of information and everything you say is recorded and then analyzed by AI and then fed back to a police state where if you fart and you don't say, excuse me, or you don't, perfectly cut the grass in your front lawn, or you don't go do 5 hours of community service every week, your credit score drops. Then you can't buy a plane ticket. Then you can't even escape tyranny. You're just a cog in the wheel. Sad state of affairs that we're going into, folks. And all I keep looking is this, right? What asset do you want to park your capital in? What asset do you trust the most? I can't find any that are better than Bitcoin. But we can do some coin calls if you guys want. What other cryptocurrencies are you guys looking into? We'll wrap it up right after this. We'll hang out here for a little bit longer. I like these night shows, but I'm actually a morning person. I got way more energy in the morning, so we'll keep going on the morning shows. But there's only 3 cryptos that I think you would need to buy to be exceptionally rich in the short coming future. And that's Cadena, Flux, and Bitcoin. Those are my 3 favorites. Those are the ones I'm buying the most of. I just can't help but get more Bitcoin, though. And then you set them up on bots and you generate passive income and you let your money work for you and generate money for the rest of eternity. Now, my KDA bot's going to be pretty baller. Take a look at our bots, see how our bots are doing. See what we got going on over here. This is why I need to get some XRP probably. I feel like XRP is a stable coin. So this is going to be a perfect opportunity. We've been short on Bitcoin since 37,500. So you guys are following us in the Telegram. 37,500. I think I got another one at 39,000. I think I got a screenshot of it here. Somewhere. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So you can see we're in this one for 373. And if I zoom in here, my next entry is at, see on the left-hand side over here, you got 39,450, 40,750, and 42,375. Now, I might have to move that top one up depending on when the other ones get hit, exactly what my entry price will be. But the reason I'm scaling into them is so I don't get liquidated. And I think we're probably up a couple bucks on the trade right now. We'll see how it plays out. But that's how I roll, man. I scale into a lot of my trades. Especially shorts when the markets are like this. I could get liquidated. But I had on my trading account on BYBIT, when we used to trade all the time, you have sub accounts because you're going to open up and like trade Bitcoin. Sometimes I'm trading Bitcoin with like 4x. Sometimes I'm longing it with like 25x and then I'm shorting it with 5x. So I have sub accounts so I can open up multiple trades on Bitcoin at the same time. And I had $15 in one and $60 in the other. And when Bitcoin was down at like 24,000 or 28,000, I put a 50x long for $15 and a 25x long for $60, and it ran all the way up. So I turned those into 700. So I was like, okay, cool. I got 700. I've literally turned $70 into 700. Now I'm going to try to turn 700 into 7,000. And then we'll go 7,000 into 70,000. We can see if we can keep trading these up. So we'll do a little trading challenge, or I'll get liquidated and Bitcoin will hit like 44,000 and I'll lose $700. Either way. But these bots are the future, guys. I mean, it's undeniable at this point. Wow, it gridded me all the way up. So So here's what's crazy about this one. You guys are going to laugh about this. So I started these bots, obviously, wherever these green dots start. Like, I don't know if you could start a Kadena bot at a better time than, like, I mean, that's pretty much absolute bottom, right? I have to say, like, that bot couldn't have really been set up at a better time. Now, I thought that was my logic in the beginning, right? I'm like, oh yeah, dude, I'll give this bot 12 G's. I'll give this bot 12 G's. And I'm at bottom. So I'll turn on trailing up and I'll turn on trailing down. So what that did is it allowed me to have a really tight grid. Meaning, like, I was confident that KDA wasn't going much lower than like 38 cents or 37 cents. So I started it somewhere like right here. And yeah, I think I was only able to go down like 38 cents, like 9%. And in that 9% window, I gave it $12,000. So if you look at every one of these green dots on the screen, that's it buying 200 and selling $200 worth of Kadena. And I think it scalps 90 cents off every trade, give or take. But so I turned on trailing up. So guess what happened? Well, it moves all my grids up. So then I realized, like, on this pull down right here, right, when it came down all the way down to here, it had moved up all my lines. So now what it did in this upper, from this line to here, it bought me $12,000 worth of Kadena and then ran out of Kadena, or then ran out of dollars. So I just gave it another 12,000. So basically if price keeps coming down, every 8% or 9% roughly, I need to give it another 12 G's. Which is okay because it's Kadena, right? So moving forward, for me to keep this bot running, and I don't want to turn it off because it is so profitable. It's doing 9%. And it was up to 11. But then it ran out of, for this window right here, this little stretch in here, it ran out. So how many more trades would I have had in there? Probably quite a bit. But it ran out of funds. I didn't have more funding in my account. So by the time that this thing, like, let's say it came back down, how many more percent is that? Oh yeah. This thing will be expensive. But man, when it goes back up, do you know how badass that's going to be? It's going to trade it all the way down to, wow. If Kadena came down to 30 cents every 8 times, what is that? 8 times 6? No, 8 times 5. Yeah, so I'd have to give it, if it came down to 35 cents, I'd probably have to give this thing another 50 grand. Now, the ideal scenario would be one shortfall back. But either way, I'm cool. I'm going to buy 12 grand, 12 grand, 12 grand, 12 grand, 12 grand. Maybe buy another 50 grand worth of Kadena if we come back all the way down there. And then I'll have a bot with KDA trading 100 G's. And every little green dot will probably make me $5 in profit, if I had to take a guess. But don't quote me on that. But, you know, we started this bot with, what was the first one we started? I mean, it was a low amount. You just keep adding to them, keep buying more crypto, adding to them, buying more crypto. Yeah, you can take out the money and reset your grid, but you would have to sell. You need the lower denominating coin. So you need the stable coin. So like I could close this out and regrid it now, yeah, and spread that out more. But I want it making as large as trades as possible every time it trades. So like you could set up a bot with $1,000, but they say 3,500 is the lowest amount you want to have to set one up. But let's just say you set up with one with like $3,000. You could set up this exact same grid, but every line it would only trade, 15 or 20 bucks. So you're making 0.00 or 0.001% of that, or 3.003%. Be like 10 cents, 20 cents every trade, or 5 cents every trade, which is still better than nothing. You're still making money. But this one's a really, you just have to be dumb and confident in the asset. Like I wouldn't do this on like Matic or any other asset that I wasn't confident in buying because I want to keep these tight grids because once it goes up, like the cool part about adding this funding down here is it's regridded it in. So now what I just basically did is I just gave it a window. So now my trading grid level is now like actually like 20%. If I'm saying that right. I think as we go up next time, like say we went all the way up to $1 and then started to come back down off $1, I don't think I would have to keep giving it 12,000 more, if that makes sense. I think it's gonna extend my window. So I probably what are our pullbacks? About 30,000, 30% in crypto are pretty common. So if I can keep feeding it dollars and keep expanding my grid window, I'll keep you guys updated. I don't know if that's how it's going to work out, but I think that's how it should work out. I think I should have a big nest egg of USDT as it goes up and sells me out and then comes back down. It should still be buying in the same increments, but I could be wrong. Now the next one, right? Like, so like if this went up right here, like say this went up to, Cadena goes up to 68 cents right now. I will have no Cadena in this bot. And then as it comes down, it'll start buying again. So it's like a double-edged sword. If crypto runs up, it's going to sell you out, right? Because as this bot goes up, yeah, I don't know if I fully understand that part of it. Because when everything was going up, my bot sum total wasn't going up, which is weird. Or maybe it was, I don't know. But I know that that a lot of times when these coins take off, that you're actually better off just holding the coin versus using a bot. Like if it's running up during the altcoin season, like you just want to turn off all your bots because you're better off just finding the coins that are going to pump, buying them at a discounted price and then selling them after they pump and dumping them. But yeah. Yes, you do, Kimmy B. You need USDT to set up a bot. Yep. Yes, you do. Yep. 3 commas or BitsCap. You know, I got rubbed the wrong way with 3 commas when I first bought their software. And I spent a ton of money and all this, and the customer service was horrible. The bots couldn't run. There was a bunch of issues with the API, and I couldn't connect to an exchange. And it was a nightmare. And the customer service was horrible. And like I bought the software, and then like they have trading things that you can like plug in other people's settings. And I bought somebody's bot settings for like $20. But the settings are only good if you're using that trading software. So I was like, hey, your software doesn't even connect to your website. I can't even use it. And the guy's like, oh yeah, sorry about that. Well, since I used I got a 7-day free trial, and then it was like day 1 of my first month and I couldn't use it because like the first 7 days I was literally back and forth with them. Like, oh, that exchange doesn't work. Try this exchange. So then I tried that exchange, and then I got a Coinbase Pro account. And it was like back and forth for a week. And then I went a day into my first month when they told me that their software couldn't work. And I wanted a refund. He goes, oh, we'll refund you for 11 months. Sorry, you're already 1 day into your membership. We can't refund you. I go, but your bot doesn't work. Well, that's what the 7-day trial period's for. You're supposed to let us know in the first 7 days. And I was like, how about this $20 thing I bought? Oh, you bought that from a third-party seller on our site. We can't refund you for that. That's what I think of 3 commas. So that's why I switched to BitGap. But I do know there's a lot of people out there that like 3 commas. 3 commas also got hacked. And so what they can do with your bots, like if they could get into your API, they can't sell your crypto, but they can set up trades with your crypto. So what they were doing is they were having people who were buying shit coins, right? And they were going and setting up limit sell orders for an insane amount of money. And then they were going and market buying on that account. So that one market buy would push the price of those coins up, eat all the other limit orders, and then fill their big order, you know? And then that person would go and cash out those coins. And so they hacked 3 commas. Hopefully they learned from their lesson, but yeah, BitsGap is where it's at. It's so simple. It's so easy to use. And it's like, don't overcomplicate it. And what's cool about Bitscap is they have a test net on this thing. So here's my referral code. You guys can use that. You get a week free trial for the regular, for actually connecting it to your exchanges. And then, oh, and you get, invite a friend, you get $10 from their first purchase. Okay, so I get 10% or $10. I think you might get something too, a free week. But you get, what is it? They have the test net thing on here. Demo mode. Yeah, so you can come up behind my name. There's a little drop down behind my head. And it's demo mode. So you can actually practice for free. Just turn on demo mode. And you get fake money on there. And you can set up bots and test them and see how they run for the next 30 days. And see how profitably. I suggest that. That's probably the best way to do it. Yep. So this bot right now has 23,000 KDA in it. That's wild. $23,000 KDA. That's pretty baller. Yeah, Nika, man, it's the way to go. You got to BYBIT. Join, Nick, are you in our private Telegram? We got a lot of good people in there. Gideon also has taken somebody else's chat. There you go. I can share it in here. I was before. Jump back in, man. Come on in, man. Anybody in here? Kimmy B, you're already in there. Texas, you guys are into crypto. Feel free to jump into it. That's a mainly crypto only chat, so feel free to jump in there and hang out with the squad. Wow, another one's up. KDA 510%. Woo! Damn, $2,000. Another one. Nice moves, homie. I love seeing my subscribers making money. I love it, man. We've been ride or die together in the crypto fam for quite some time. It looks like another one's up 510%. $2,003 in USDT. My man. 20x long. Nice work, homie. Nice work. We make a lot of money together, and we sure fucking lose a lot of money together. But we have a good time doing it. We definitely ain't the smartest. Our squad used to be called Dumb Money. Yep, I'll forever ride with Ryan. But we did it together without promoting any shit coins, without scamming anybody. Just giving people honest information about crypto. Take it for what it is. That's all we got, folks. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show today. Do me a huge favor. If you could, smash that like button on the way out the door. If you guys have any questions, drop them below in the main comments. We will be down in Texas this week. Get ready, folks. With Anna Perez will be with us. We got the Stop the Invasion protest in San Antonio, Texas, 7000 San Pedro Avenue, November 18th from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. Oh, shit. Let me show you what else just happened. I got one more story for you guys. Anthony from Muckrakers got kidnapped. Yeah, you know my buddy Anthony that I was telling you that was over riding those trains? He got fucking kidnapped, guys. Oh, I'm not on LFA. He got fucking kidnapped. How fucking crazy is that? I mean, that is batshit crazy. Let me just grab the text. I mean, this is fucking wild, guys. So this is Michael Yawn. Michael Yawn over on Twitter. Michael_Yawn. Real muckrakers got kidnapped in Mexico by SpaceX. They okay. I just spoke with them. Kidnappers blindfolded them, smashed their gear. Muckrakers team has no phone or gear, but are released from kidnappers and are fine. We located Muckraker and called U.S. law enforcement in their immediate vicinity and got Muckraker on phone. Muckraker at Brownsville border crossing. They are on the Texas side. Photo attached from days before this morning's kidnapping. That's some scary shit, guys. So I couldn't tell everybody until they were back, right? But these guys are riding trains. I mean, they were posting videos about it, but I haven't really told anybody. But until yesterday, Anthony got dropped off behind enemy lines. Behind fucking enemy lines, guys. It's fucking crazy. Like the balls and the cojones that these guys have with, man. All his gear is gone. And I pray that he was smart and had those memory cards in his crotch. Because that much footage and that much content is literally digital gold. I would have been hiding them in my crotch. I got boxers with hidden pockets in them. I know myself. I don't even leave my, like I have, when I go on vacation or when I go to shoot and stuff like that, or I travel and shoot, my memory cards never leave my body, never leave my person. If they do, they're in my backpack in a specific zipper pocket. It's like no chance they're falling out of my backpack, and my backpack never leaves my body, never leaves my sight. I've been robbed of my gear twice, so I know to never leave my camera, my memory cards in my gear. I have them in a special little case that I carry everywhere. So I'm just curious on was he smart enough to hide his memory cards? I pray so. Because these guys, you can't back it up to the cloud. I can't even back my stuff up, Mr. K, when I'm in a hotel with Wi-Fi. That's how big the files are and how long it takes. So to think that he was in the middle of the jungle and somehow had Wi-Fi, maybe he got 5G. He might be lucky that he had 5G in some area and could upload terabytes worth of footage, but I doubt it. I doubt it. His best chance was that he had those memory cards hidden in his sock in a, if he like slid open the slit on that shoulder strap and was like feeding the memory cards down into the shoulder strap. It's hard to say. But gosh damn, man. Kidnapped. I mean, at the end of the day, he's lucky to be alive. But those cartels must have been following him for a really long time and just waited for the right opportunity. He got all the way almost back to America with all that footage. So I have not heard if Taylor was with him or not, or if it was just him. But last we saw, they were riding the trains together. Him, Taylor, his brother. So I just pray that they're all right. I haven't heard from him. I texted him earlier. I haven't heard back from him. So I'll keep you guys updated when I do. But if you guys can swing over here and support Muckrakers in any way. I know we were asking for donations for Taylor yesterday, but that gear is going to be expensive. It's going to be a couple $1,000s. And if he's out those memory cards, I don't know how much that trip cost him, but I have to guess somewhere around 5 G's for him and his brother. Now, I don't know if they were able to buy food, what kind of food they were buying, or if they were just, living off the land in the jungles. But he got sick, got food poisoning, was in the hospital, gets out of the hospital still super sick, riding on trains, coming all the way from Colombia. The balls that it would take to do something like that. So please swing over there, show Muckrakers some love. If you guys can afford to skip a cup of coffee and donate a couple bucks, it would mean more. It would mean the world to these guys, and that equipment's going to be expensive. So whatever we can do, we'll get Anthony on. We'll bring him on for an interview and promote all this stuff. So God bless you guys. God bless everybody over here on Rumble. God bless Rumble for giving us a platform to speak freely. Same with Elon Musk. Hopefully you guys have a fantastic night. I don't think we're going to be here at 6 in the morning, but you never know. We might be doing a show at 6 in the morning. If we are, you guys will get those notifications if you turn them on. Smash that like button on your way out the show. We'll catch you guys in the next one. God bless.
Run.